didn't even make friends who were guys because you would overthink about their girlfriends. I didn't want you hanging out with guys that I didn't know.
Well, I met them before I met you.
It looks like even more trouble awaits for Brandan and Mary's rocky relationship on 90 Day Fiancé the other way. In our most recent sneak peek, the couple has pizza with 3 of Mary's male friends, who reveal a major secret that she'd been keeping. So her own friends actually expose the fact that she sometimes plugs out her modem just so she can spend time away from him and hang out with her friends in the process, while still being not okay at all with him having friends of his own. And this was his reaction to learning this.
You would get mad at me if I turned off my phone and I went out. She wouldn't let me hang out with girls or guys even, because guys have sisters, guys have girlfriends, guys have moms.
Sometimes we're fighting, and I just feel like I'm stressed at home. I'm stuck at home, and I need someone to talk to, and I have them. So
it's a little strange that this truth had to come out from her friends, and that they were willing to tell that truth on her, but at least they're not doing it behind her back. So I guess they may be just open as individuals. I gotta keep in mind that it's a different culture, so I'm not sure what's happening here. You guys let me know what you think in the comments. It's strange though that her friends were willing to do that. It's also strange that she never came around to telling him the truth on this, because I've been noticing that her lies have been kind of stacking. But before I get into more about what has been noticed in terms of her lies, let's do a little recap on this couple. Prior to Brandan moving from the US to the Philippines to be with her, the two 23-year-olds were in a long-distance relationship, and their romance so far has been plagued with nothing but jealousy, insecurity, and major trust issues. When one of Mary's friends asks Brandan what his plans are for staying in the Philippines, he responds that he eventually wants to marry Mary. However, the pair admit that they don't have an exact date in mind for the upcoming wedding. So this couple, as newcomers to the series 90 Day Fiancé the Other Way, may actually be the most codependent couple in the franchise's history. We were introduced to them as viewers, seeing them as a couple that literally goes on with video chatting with each other 24/7, including moments when they're asleep. Brandan is 23 and lived in Eugene, Oregon, while Mary, who is also 23, lives in the Philippines. The two met on a dating site and quickly became obsessed with one another. Brandan felt Mary was out of his league and couldn't believe she reciprocated his interest, while Mary said Brandan looks like a mix between 2 of her favorite things, Justin Bieber and Harry Potter. The two spend practically every second of the day on video call with each other, and to the point where they, like I said, video chat while sleeping, and even going as far as doing that while they go to the bathroom. There's even an example where Brandan was video chatting with her while he was getting his teeth cleaned at a dentist, just so she could watch him. Another crazy fact about these two is that they also sent each other's clothes with their body odor and sweat on it, and Mary got multiple tattoos of his name on her body. Both Brandan and Mary actually explain why they're so obsessed with each other, and it's kind of sad. It actually stems from both their respective pasts. Brandan had a hard childhood growing up. His mother lost custody of him when he was 15 years old after she failed her drug test, and his 2 younger siblings were put out into foster care, and he was sent to live with his father in another state. But the two didn't get along at all. Things were so sad between them that Brandan left and was living in his truck before his godparents found out what was happening in the situation, and that is how he got to live in an RV outside of his godparents' house and did chores around the house for them since they don't charge him any rent. Mary's the first person who actually made him feel good enough. That's what he said, and he even says that she saved him from himself. He said his world was black and white before she came, and now it's just colorful. Meanwhile, Mary lives in a small village in the Philippines, and said her bad relationship with her ex-boyfriend, who cheated on her, is what led her to being so jealous over Brandan. For example, she displayed irrational behavior during his teeth cleaning when she burst into tears when the dentist asked if Mary was his first love, to which he said no. Still, he apologized to her and clarified that by first love, the dentist meant his first girlfriend. Brandan acknowledged to the cameras that her extreme jealousy over him was basically going as far as to any female that he interacts with, and that any female that he interacts with would literally cause a fight between them on the spot. But Mary said it was Brandan's fault because he was too friendly to other girls. I love her so much, but sometimes the obsessiveness is a double-edged sword, he said. Parts of my relationship with Mary have become tumultuous and toxic. If mine and Mary's fighting doesn't get any better, I'm worried that me and Mary may not be able to work it out. But the jealousy is definitely not one-sided.
I feel sad because I lost my school, my dance, and then I stopped my modeling because he's jealous of my pictures.
Mary told cameras that she lost her college dance scholarship because Brandan didn't want her dancing anymore and had to drop out. She also quit modeling due to his jealousy. Brandan also doesn't want her to hang out with her male childhood friends, so she actually, like I mentioned earlier, unplugged her modem and lied about having a blackout just so she could spend time with them without him knowing. I just don't like staying home, doing nothing, but I feel like I need to give up all of that because if I didn't, I will lose Brandan because he can't stop overthinking, she said. When her friends asked her if she was worried about Brandan controlling her life once he got into the Philippines, she said she wasn't, and that their fights would stop once they weren't long distance anymore. Mary, who's Catholic, said that if it didn't work out with Brandan, she would become a nun and give herself to Jesus Christ. I know deep down Brandan gives me love, and he just cares about me and my future, she said. So when he gets here, I really hope that we will stop overthinking because I can't see myself without Brandan. Later, Brandan invited his mother, Angela, who went to rehab and has been clean for a year, and his sister and brother to hang out before he moved to the Philippines to be with Mary.
Thank you guys for coming out here.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I haven't been able to come over to your house.
Because it's a house full of women and Mary's not okay with that.
Right.
Right.
That's right.
Both his sister and mother called him out over them not being able to spend time with him because of Mary's jealousy. The situation was incredibly awkward since Mary was watching and listening through a video call, though she muted herself. Mary actually cried when Brandan's family said he chose her over them and that she wasn't looking out for his best interests. All she could say back was that she knew that they didn't like her in the first place. Angela actually said that Mary shouldn't get to have Brandan 24/7 and that their relationship was pretty toxic. Toxic is when she doesn't want another female around that's your mother or your sister, Angela said heatedly. It pisses me off. Brandan said that he understood where they're coming from, but he had to go to the Philippines and be with Mary. He said that he had faith that things would be better after he and Mary were no longer long distance. Angela then told the cameras that Mary was absolutely preventing her from having a relationship with her son after putting in so much work to rekindle what they lost because of her drug addiction. I'll be if I watch my son ruin his life over this obsession that he has with a girl that he's never met, she told the cameras. Brandan's made up his mind though, regardless of the fact that his friends and family have expressed worries that the relationship is toxic and controlling, with his mother admitting that the situation is scary and admitted that she did not want him to move to the Philippines with Mary. Here's another fact that you should know. Brandan also revealed that he and Mary decided to build a house for themselves in the Philippines, and that all of his paychecks over the past year were going straight to building the house and to Mary. He admitted that the costs were close to approximately $60,000, which left only $250 remaining in his bank account. I won't have any money when I get to the Philippines, he said. At this point, I'm just kinda rolling with the punches and hoping that it works out. At the airport, Brandan's mother hugged him and said,
"And I don't want you to go, but it's your life and you have to do what you feel is best. So I really hope it's what it's supposed to be."
Thank you. That means everything to me.
Physically, you're going to be so far away, but emotionally, can we just not be so far away?
I'm worried, she told him. There's always that, fear that I'm never going to see you again. You're my son. I just really hope that when you get over there, you won't allow manipulation or controlling to be a part of your lifestyle, she added. You don't deserve that, and you know better. Ultimately, Brandan's mother said she was proud of him for making the decision that he felt was best, even though she didn't necessarily agree with it. He thanked her and said her support meant everything to him. The mother and son have a somewhat strained relationship due to her past struggles with addiction. However, they have been slowly working to rebuild that closeness, which his mom explained was why it was so devastating that he was leaving now. A lot of the closeness that Brandan and I lost was my fault, she admitted. When I started to use drugs, he lost all faith in what I said and how I lived, and I can't blame him. But once I got clean and sober, where we could have bridged that gap, Mary stood in the way of that. Brandan promised he would call his mother if he needed anything or found himself in trouble. And as for his and Mary's relationship, let's talk about what happened when he got to the Philippines. Before Brandan actually gets to the Philippines, on his way there, he tries to please Mary by switching his airplane seat because he was sitting to another woman on the way to see her in the Philippines. Just got my seat changed and no one is sitting next to me. Happy now? He texts her from the plane and Mary replies with accusations that he was lying. After the exchange, Brandan says in a confessional, "I feel like I can't win. I don't know what to do to appease Mary's needs." After landing in Los Angeles, Brandan gives Mary an update via text, sharing 2 more flights to go after this. Mary then continues to accuse him of being interested in other women, saying "F you, F your girl." He stands his ground and responds, "No, Mary, I'm not," and denies everything that she keeps accusing him of. Brandan even admits in a confessional that he feels like Mary's not appreciating his efforts to see her. "It really frustrates me on a high level that she would still say these things," he says before taking a long pause. "I've sacrificed a lot to get to that point, and I don't think I deserve that." When he boards a night flight, Mary texts that he is concerned Brandan is sitting to another girl, but he pans the camera toward his empty row of seats. Mary texts, "You make me hurt, you make me crazy, so F you and your girls there." And he responds denying everything. Mary's jealousy makes Brandan question if he should really be making her a priority in his life. So he's now with 2 instances of him being accused of cheating. The first one being with the dentist, and this is the second one on the airplane to visit her. It's crazy that she would even think that he'd be going out of his way to cheat. In fact, that would take so much effort to cheat on someone while going to visit them with a person on the airplane. How is he even going to accomplish that? That would be some next level charm that he'd have. That it all means be like magic, but she did say he looks like Harry Potter. Let me know what you guys think. Now we'll go ahead and skip to when they actually got to the airport. Now of course Brandan is expecting to be able to hold, kiss and hug his woman, and there are actually restrictions that Brandan wasn't notified about. If this couple wants to hold hands or hug, they'll actually have to get permission from Mary's grandparents, which would of course come as a shock to Brandan based on his expectations as an American. Mary actually has to abide by a certain set of rules with Brandan under her grandparents' roof. Mary actually had a conversation with her grandparents hours before Brandan's arrival in their home in the Philippines. Her grandparents, who expressed concern after overhearing the young couple's arguments, provided guidelines for how the two should navigate their relationship during Brandan's stay. When Brandan comes, you should love each other, don't fight with each other, and he needs to respect us so we know if he loves you or not. From there, the grandparents set the ground rules for what they expect in terms of physical contact. So, for example, don't do it with him, her grandfather said. Her grandma agreed, yes, you should not do it with him. Laughing, Mary asks what specifically they were requesting she should abstain from, clarifying his point. To which the grandfather said, don't sleep with him.
My grandfather and my brother told me that I'm not allowed to kiss him. I don't care about it anymore because I want to and I need to.
Mary agreed to their rules. Then, the grandfather also noted that before, Brandan can hug you and hold your hand, but he must get permission from your grandmother, as it's a simple matter of respect. So with all this information, you'd think she'd notify Brandan about all this, but that wasn't the case. Mary says, I've been waiting for 2 years to hold his hand and know how it feels to touch his hair and hug him. I always respect my grandparents, but I don't want to tell Brandan we can't do anything without their permission, she said in an interview. I just want it to be natural when I meet him for the first time. I don't know what to do. But Mary's grandparents ultimately wanted what's best for her. We've raised her, It's difficult when a child has been left to you because I'm already old and the father should be the one to raise his child, the grandfather said. Because of their concern, they expressed that they want to meet Brandan in person to verify that she'd be safe with him. Now with Brandan's arrival, he was actually quite disappointed with his first night, considering that he was expecting something of an intimate time. Considering especially that Mary did not disclose the rules that her grandparents set beforehand, everything pretty much came to him as a surprise as he went on with her. There's also the fact that she's Catholic and she doesn't actually believe in sex before marriage. So obviously honesty is not the biggest priority so far in this relationship. In an interview, Mary even explains her feelings, saying that I know we were having a lot of intimacy on the phone, but it's different now that it's here in person, and it's a big deal to me. Just today is my first time having me and Brandan in the same bed. First time kissing Brandan, and pretty much all her first times. So again, honesty is a concern here because she also hasn't told Brandan that her parents expect her to wait until marriage to have intimacy. Fast forward to when Mary actually got exposed with her lie about unplugging the modem by her friends. Now we're back to the present. Let's go ahead now and talk about the latest update on this couple. So we know that when Brandan actually met Mary, they already had their first kiss together, hugging each other and being intimate in a sense when they were at the airport, being that they're such young lovebirds. It wasn't until Mary's brother explained that they were restricted from doing as such. Mary actually insisted on holding this as a little secret from the grandparents, literally because it dishonored the promise that she made to not do anything intimate without getting their permission first. Brandan's conscience really kept weighing heavier and heavier on him, however, and it actually led him to keep on insisting to Mary that they should tell their grandparents the truth. When they finally explained to the grandparents what happened, yes, they were a little upset, but they proceeded from there to insist that they get married. So it's a good thing that the grandparents were forgiving of this matter, or at least it seems that they're forgiving of this. And from this action, it does show that Brandan does have the right place in his heart to want to be truthful to her family. And while the jealousy is a red flag between the two, I have to respect the honesty that Brandan shows. On the other hand, it is really concerning that Mary seems to have a lot of propensity for keeping secrets and holding on to the truth and painting the picture that she wants you to see. So red flags are in this couple's relationship, but you guys let me know what you think about these stacked lies so far. For example, Mary's lied to him many times about having blackouts when that was not the case. Mary's lied to her grandparents' face when she promised them that she wouldn't do anything like hugging and kissing, while on the other side, also not telling Brandan the truth about what's to be expected. She even didn't tell him about the fact that they have to wait until marriage before they can get intimate. But let me know what you guys think. I want to hear what you guys think about this couple and their ways so far. What do you think about the red flags spotted so far? I'll be looking forward to seeing your comments. Share this video to get more content, and I'll see you guys in the next update.